June is Pride Month. Did you know that the CALS EOA has many entries on LGBTQ issues, celebrities, laws, books, and more? If you want to learn more about the LGBTQ experience in Arkansas, a great place to start is our overview entry. The social movement in Arkansas in support of rights for LGBTQ people, an umbrella term that covers lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, and more, has historically been represented by such legal organizations as Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD, Lambda Legal, and the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU. This was followed by an increasing organization of LGBTQ people in Arkansas, primarily in the emergence of student groups at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville and other institutions of higher education. This is a photo of Randy McCain at a press conference at the Arkansas State Capitol, during which the Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund announced its lawsuit against the state's sodomy law, January 1998. Jegley v. Picado was a 2002 decision by the Arkansas Supreme Court that struck down Arkansas's sodomy law, which criminalized homosexual behavior. It was the first time that the Supreme Court removed a legal prohibition against homosexual relationships. This is a photo of Annabelle Clinton Imber Tuck, the first woman elected justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court had found in 1986, Bowers v. Hardwick, that state laws making homosexuality a crime did not violate those guaranteed in the federal Constitution. Justice Annabelle Imber wrote the 2002 majority opinion striking down the statute. Her opinion was widely praised for its clarity and thoroughness. The AIDS crisis and backlash. The first cases of AIDS in the United States were identified in New York and California in 1981. By 1984, researchers were able to identify HIV as the cause of AIDS. In 1983, a Little Rock man in his early 20s became the first Arkansan to die of AIDS-related pneumonia. Because little was known about HIV and AIDS in the early days of the disease, public reaction to the epidemic included discrimination and stigma against the populations who were at risk for the disease, namely bisexual and homosexual men. In Arkansas, the gay rights movement suffered a major setback in the mid-1980s, largely due to the emergence of HIV and AIDS. This is a picture of the cover of a Northeast Arkansas Regional AIDS Network membership brochure. Ruth Coker Burks is an Arkansan woman who, in the midst of the 1980s AIDS epidemic, provided support for dozens of men who were dying of AIDS, men who were often abandoned by their families, with even some health professionals being reluctant to treat them. As word of her efforts spread, she became the go-to person in Arkansas for the care and comfort of dying AIDS patients. She was known as the AIDS Angel and the Cemetery Angel. When Bill Clinton was elected president, Burks served as a White House consultant on AIDS education. Her reputation was tarnished, however, when a GoFundMe campaign intended to create a memorial at Files Cemetery for the gay men who died resulted in no memorial. Burks admitted to spending some of the money on her own medical expenses. She also failed to provide a complete list of the names of the men who had died. George Takei, who was held in an Arkansas internment camp at Rower as a boy during World War II, gained international fame as Lieutenant Sulu in the original Star Trek television series and movies. In 2005, Takei announced that he is gay and has been with his partner, Brad Altman, for 18 years. In 2008, he and Altman were married in the wake of the California Supreme Court's ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. Alice French, 1850 to 1934, was a leading writer of local color stories and journalistic essays under the pseudonym Octave Thanet. A resurgent interest in American local color in the late 20th century revived Thanet's work. Some have read her stories as coded treatments of lesbian women. She and her lifelong partner, Jane Allen Crawford, split their declining years between their homes in Davenport, Iowa, and Lawrence County, Arkansas. E. Lynn Harris was a best-selling author of novels about African American men in gay and bisexual relationships. His 9 novels have sold more than 3 million copies. Danny Bunton Berry was a revolutionary computer game designer who specialized in multiplayer games at a time when few in the industry were interested in the idea. She is also remembered for breaking gender boundaries in the industry, having been assigned male at birth but undergoing gender transition later in her career. Gerard Conley's 2016 memoir, Boy Erased, recounts his experiences at an ex-gay therapy program. A movie adaptation of the book was released in November 2018. Conley grew up in northern Arkansas. His father served as a missionary Baptist pastor. Conley was a Lyon College freshman when another student outed him as gay. In response, his parents sent him to Love in Action. His memoir is a painful reflection on his struggle to deal with his sexual orientation in a culture dominated by a conservative Christianity that disapproved of his homosexuality. V.L. Cox is a painter and mixed media artist whose work has achieved national acclaim for confronting institutional racism and homophobia. Cox's most publicized work has been a mixed media installation titled End Hate, which launched in 2015. The project was in response to the proposed Religious Freedom Restoration Act, Act 975 of 2015, which, as originally written, would have allowed discrimination against members of the LGBTQ community in Arkansas on the basis of religious beliefs. Governor Asa Hutchinson signed a modified version of the bill following national outrage. In an interview with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Cox described how the project threw my whole life out there for everyone to see, making her well known as a lesbian artist. Beth Ditto has referred to herself as a fat, feminist lesbian from Arkansas. Ditto achieved renown as the singer and songwriter for Gossip, an indie dance punk band based in Portland, Oregon, before pursuing a solo career in music and acting. Ditto is also known for being a model and fashion designer who promotes positive body image, as well as for her outspoken support of LGBT rights. In her memoir, Coal to Diamonds, Ditto speaks out against racism, homophobia, and fat phobia, while also exposing the male privilege and sexism that permitted the rampant multi-generational sexual abuse in her family. Ditto married longtime girlfriend Kristen Ogata in 2013. They divorced in 2018. As of 2022, she is currently in a relationship with transgender musician Teddy Quo. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or would like more information, please email info@cals.org.